The 2022 Virtual Business Conference, February 25th. Tracy Almeda Singian. Marketing your business, in real life, to digital.
Tracy Almeda Singian. I'm glad to join you all today. I'm sorry that we're not doing this in person. I was looking forward to going to the cold weather. I'm here in Florida at the moment, but I wanted to talk about digital marketing and from in real life to digital marketing today. Just a little bit about myself and why I'm here with you all. I played on tour, made it to 159 in the world. I've been a USPTA pro for a lot of years. And then I also started a women's challenger, doing events in tennis. That's actually how I got into marketing, was raising money through charity events. And then I worked for Wilson Sporting Goods for many years, and then on to Red Bull. And then I worked for the NBA New Orleans Pelicans for the past couple of years. Started in New Orleans just before COVID hit. And now I work as the VP of marketing for a local financial institution in Indiana, Florida called CCU Florida. So that's just a little bit about me. Again, I'm really excited to work with you all here today. What I encourage everyone is to put questions in the chat. I really like to make it interactive. I'm here to try to help you all really, up level your digital game and your marketing game, and to be able to help you progress as a pro and as a tennis professional. So, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. I do have a deck here, but beyond the deck, I always really love the conversations that we have, and the ability to learn from one another. So we'll get started. As I said, we're going to really talk about digital marketing for you and your business, and to really understand where we're going. Right, a lot has changed. The world's changed a lot in the last couple of years. I think it's very interesting. Hootsuite does a great overview of everything happening in the world and the world of digital media. So last year, in 2021, we saw a 10% increase of active social media users globally. That's a huge amount. In the last couple of years, we haven't seen that much growth, but obviously with people spending more time at home, we're seeing, more and more people really leveraging social media and brands. And then, of course, that's why we're talking about that here today. When you look at mobile phone use, that also grew at 1.8%. So, the way that people are engaging is very heavily on their mobile phone. So when we start creating content for our social channels, that's definitely something that we need to keep in mind. And then internet users continue to grow as well at 4%. When you look at the world's most active social platforms, Facebook continues to be the top dog. YouTube, still a strong performer in WhatsApp, Instagram, no surprises there. But the one that really emerged, over 2021 was TikTok, and we'll get into more detail on that platform. So when you start thinking about the platforms that you use, you want to go and fish where the fish are. So keep those ones in mind, and really try to see what's going to fit the people and your demographic, whether it be at your club, the high school, things like that, right? Let's see. When we talk about the main reasons for using social media, when you look at people from the age 16 to 64, the first and foremost is really keeping in touch with friends and family, right? They're trying to fill spare time, reading news stories, finding content, and then finding inspiration for things to do and buy. So that's really where we fit, right? People are looking for things to do. Obviously, in tennis, we have a great opportunity. If people are so worried about social distancing, there's plenty of room. We saw tennis grow at that time last year as well. So, how can we have information not only about our events, our lessons, and our pros, being able to really give them the information that they need in order to choose you as the activity, in order to choose tennis as their activity, right? And to spend money with us. And then finding products to purchase. So our products are our lessons and our clinics and our camps and things like that, as well as our, we have all our different, pro shops and things like that. So being able to talk about the products that you have in your pro shop, those are great pieces of content and things that we want to consider when we start talking about our overall content marketing plan. And then making new contacts, reaching new people and seeing where you're going to get your new lesson, right? Watching live streams. Are there opportunities for you to have a live stream on your Facebook page of an event that you have, or a tournament that you have, or a mixer that you have at the club? That's something to keep in mind. And most of the social media platforms are really prioritizing live streams. So even if it's for a short amount of time, part of maybe the end of a match or things like that, that's something to consider. When you talk about work-related networking and research, LinkedIn is a very strong platform for that, and what people are doing to either find their next job or find their next employee as well. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, watching and following sports. Are you part of the conversation when the biggest tournaments in the world are happening? Or even right now, right? We're in a very unique moment of what's happening and the tragedies happening in Europe. And you saw Rublev, really comment on that, and people are sharing that. Do you want to be part of that conversation? It's a tough one, right? You always have to just keep in mind when you're on social that anything that you say can and will be held against you. So just keep that in mind. But when you talk about, you're trying to find like-minded communities and interest groups, it's really important for pros to connect with one another. That's why we're all here today. But, continue to search out those experts in the space, search out experts in sports, psychology. Really try to expand your network. That's what social media is always great for. When you talk about the type of social media accounts that individuals follow overall, of course, it's friends and family and their general networks, actors, comedians, and performers, right? One thing that you can do is can you make tennis funny or entertaining and do a tip, right? A tennis tip. Could you do something funny to be able to attract people, right? Or give them a tip around a forehand or something like that, Try to always be creative. That's what's so fun about social media. You can never stop being creative. It's a great opportunity to show your personality in different and unique ways. And then one thing with restaurants, chefs, and food personalities, everyone connects on food, right? We all have to eat every day. So could you leverage, your actual restaurant, maybe at your club, or the concessionaire that's there at your facility? Would you be able to do the making of, one of their pieces of one of their sandwiches or a specialty item that they have on the menu? People always like sharing their food. So, can you use that for your social channels? Just some ideas there, and things that you can keep in consideration. I thought this was really interesting because obviously with tennis, we're trying to attract a new generation of players, right? We're all trying to get that Gen Z and Gen Alpha group. When you look at the time and how many platforms they use, so the number of social platforms used for the people under the age of 25 is an average of 8 social platforms. That seems crazy, right? How many social platforms do you all use? I just put it in the chat. I want to see how many platforms you guys normally use. I know I only use about 3 or 4 on a normal basis outside of work, but how many do you guys like to use? Obviously, the older age demographic, the older you go in the ages, they're using less platforms, right? But does that mean that you need to be on all 8 platforms when you talk about your marketing mix? No, it doesn't. You need to make sure that you are on the right platforms for the people that you're trying to attract, right? And then also really trying to do a couple of platforms really well. It's better to have less platforms and do them really, really well, and try to attract the consumers and the players that you're really trying to get into your mix, than to try to do everything. Because when we're teaching, we all know we don't have enough time to do everything we need to do in the day. So Being able to schedule it is an important part, and you want to make sure that you're just trying to select one or two platforms to do well. When we talk about Gen Z as well, again, they're spending over 2.5, 3 hours per day used on social. So when you want to speak to them, these are really the places that you need to be. If you want to have the younger players, the high performance players, that's where you need to play, is on social. And then, what platforms are they using? Obviously, TikTok and Instagram for that demographic is very important. And then it ages up. When you think about Facebook, it's more established. It's a little bit of that older age demographic. And then the use of social networks, right? When you talk about brand research, over 45% about, on the male side, and then just on 50% on the Gen Z female side. So when we talk about brand research, if they're, again, trying to follow you, this is where you need to be, is on social, right? When we talk about social trends, right, and what's happening today, as I already said, COVID's changed the way we engage, but the social experience, it's not just like the buy now button, right? You have to tell them a little more about you. They want to know that that business really cares about service, cares more about them beyond just the dollar that they're giving, and really providing, good customer service, an experience. And that you really have to create an experience overall to be able to engage people. So really think about who you want to be as a professional, who you want to be as, somebody in your community. And that has to really resonate and be talked about, on your social channels. When we talk about, just trends in general, it is, very much what I just mentioned, that pursuit of purpose. COVID changed the reason we work and how we work. And also, that makes us want to really evaluate how we're approaching people in general, right? Generally speaking, everybody wants to go more than skin deep. You're seeing a lot of, professional athletes. They're talking openly about their mental health. They're really speaking overall about who they are as an individual and the challenges that they've faced. So being imperfect is okay, right? We're not always going to be at our best. So just, being able to share is something that, is encouraged. People value to really humanize you and humanize the experience and understand who you are as a person. So you still want to be professional in how you're handling it, but also sharing, a more personal part of yourself. People really value that and tend to get geared towards that. Are there any questions as we start there? I can't really see can I see who's joining us? Let's see. Hey, Angela, Elliot, Marissa, Michael, and Tracy. What clubs are you all at? Would love to hear from you guys if you're okay with typing in. No, not too much engagement today. Okay. So we'll keep moving on. So when we talk about, marketing approach in general, on the left, you really have like the traditional, marketing funnel. That's really how people would approach marketing in general. It's awareness, interest, and then the desire and action, and then hopefully build that loyalty. Hey, Marissa. Oh, you're in Hastings. Nice. Yeah. At Lifetime. Yeah. They do a great job. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. So as I was saying, the marketing approach, used to be just the very traditional funnel. But as we look at how people engage in general, when you guys start thinking about how you're going to market your programs, it's not so individualized like that. You really want to think of it as more of a circle, and you're surrounding that consumer, that player, with a lot of different messages on different platforms and different ways of approaching it. So if you look at the right, for instance, an influencer, right? Who are those people that are influential in your space? Let's say somewhere at Lifetime. Who are those people that if they do a clinic, that another 5 people will sign up, right? So those are the people that you want to engage and help get the word of mouth out there for your programs. When we talk about a communication standpoint, is there somebody from a PR perspective that, is really engaged with the media? Are there media outlets that you can connect with directly? The local newspaper, the local TV hosts, right? Those people, if they play tennis, invite them to take a free lesson, and maybe they'll cover, your program on TV or in the newspaper. Invite them to experience a lesson with you and be able to even do a tennis tip on morning TV. Those are some things that you can do to really promote yourself and promote your programs. When you talk about sales, right, this is a traditional thing of more print ads, flyers, the things that tennis is very familiar with, right? And then in the community, tennis is overall, we do so many charitable events, and try to leverage those to get earned media around the city. So again, inviting the local media when you do have a charitable event so that they cover it and they know that you're helping lead that really shows that you're an expert in your area, right? And a great community ambassador. And then with partnerships, are there local businesses that you can partner to be able to create an experience and create something favorable for both you and that other brand? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then the in-person, right? In-person events, when we talk about whether it be mixers, tournaments, anything that you guys want to do. And then social media, and then of course digital, right? Email. You want to be able to have, a new lead database. So while you have either your memberships or your current lessons, you want to also have those people that maybe took a lesson once. You got to keep those addresses, keep those emails, keep those phone numbers, because they might consider taking tennis back up again, or you might have, a program that they're more interested in that's more social, as opposed to they may have taken a private lesson, but maybe they would prefer to do a group lesson. It's, more cost efficient for them. And then it's also more social. So try to think of this different mix and how they all connect together, right? It really all needs to be connected in order to reach that potential new lesson, and think of it in that fashion. I wanted to show an example, right, of how we go through, I don't know why I can't see it that way, but anyway, a journey, a consumer journey. So, when you think about the whole mix, it's not just one touch point, right? She's going to have multiple touch points through the day or through when, we're trying to speak to her. So if you took it, for example, a UCF student, I'm here in Central Florida, and, how can she wants to save money? I work for a financial institution, as I mentioned right now. So how can we approach her, right? And digital is so important. But when you talk about the first touch point, right, could be linear TV, which is broadcast TV, right? You're sitting on the couch, she's watching the Today Show. Since she took that action, we're able to target her with another article, knowing it on her phone, because she has the Wesh 2 app, and then maybe she'll check the weather, right? And she'll get an ad about our products there. And then after that, she might go on a Google search about an article between like banks and credit unions, right? And then after that, she might go and watch streaming TV and watch a Lifetime program on streaming and then see our ad there. So, it's quite complex, but there's different networks. If you look at your local NBC, ABC affiliates, if you do have some budget to be able to do advertising, consider potentially working with them in order to get, all those different touch points and to be able to reach some new people for lessons and things like that. And obviously for us, it would be more on the sports program. If you talk to a sports media person, and then being able to have different touch points around sports programs. This is something that actually comes a lot from my time at Red Bull. They used to call it the bull ring. Here we call it, really like the target audience, target ring. So in the red, you can see our physical location and where our financial institution is. And around it, you really want to own your area and your region. So think within a 5-mile radius, right? what are those businesses that you could potentially work closely with in order to do something to get more people in the door, right? For instance, if you did a clinic for a high school that's within the region, right? And then you gave them a $5 discount for every private lesson, or $10 off if they were to buy a week camp, that's something that you could do. So doing one thing to really help the school, that raises awareness for them. That's another, 300-400 eyeballs at least in a school that you perhaps haven't talked to, and then they would get that information and give it to their parents. So you created a good experience for the students, and then hopefully they'll ask their parents for lessons with you, right? Or you take, for instance, for us, it's like there's a McDonald's, right? That's not too far from our place. What if somebody opens a new account? It's a student that opens a new account. They could potentially get a $10 discount on their next purchase at McDonald's, or a $10 receipt, because McDonald's are our franchise. So you could work with that local franchise to do something customized to benefit both you and them. So if somebody's at McDonald's, they say, hey, you can get, $100 at the bank if you were to open a new free checking account, which is actually something we do. So that's just a good example. So think about those different businesses in your surrounding area around your tennis facility, and how could you work with those different facilities, right? We know that gas is continuing to really increase in cost. How can you incentivize it, right, for parents to drive to your location? Perhaps you work with a local gas station and say, oh, if I buy X amount of gift cards, we get a discount, and you guys will help promote our camps. And then they would get like a $50 gift card if they, purchase a camp for the week, and then they're able to use that gas card at that particular gas station. And then really, connecting from digital to from in real life to digital. I wanted to show you an example of what we're doing. We're actually going to be going into a high school to teach financial literacy, right? And, kids, it's hard to keep them engaged. So how are we going to get the information about our products and about what we do to be able to get them as our new potential members, right? So one of the things we're doing was we created a box that is geared both to the student and the parent. And so there's product information for the parent that has one asset there, and then the one is geared towards the kids, which has a lot less text, a lot less explanation, and just a call to action with a QR code to go. And if they register, they get the $100, and then of course some swag, so that you'll see our continual branding throughout the region, right? They get a t-shirt and sticker. And so it's a package that goes from they had an experience with us, and then now they're taking something home. So how can you create that for your programs, to be able to encourage them sharing the word, them sharing with their friends that they really had a great experience as you went through things. So how do you apply this, right? I'm talking about something that's a little bit maybe outside the box, but how do you apply this to your club or region? Who are the influencers in your club, right? Try to write down who you think you would really want to engage to be able to help you create social content, to be able to be sort of the face of your brand, because the word of mouth, right, really helps get that influence out there, right? Do you have relationships with the local media? Start creating those lists of people that you really think that you could work with. Are there influencers in the area that you haven't considered? Have you, looked on Instagram or Facebook and seen the people in your region that continue to pop up on your feed, right? Who are those people that you don't know, but keep popping up on your feed from your friends, and they happen to be at every, influential event in your area? Try to work with those people, because they're out in the market, they're out in the region. You want to make sure that they know who you do, what you do, who you are, and what you do, and hopefully they'll spread the word. Like if somebody asks them, "Oh, who's the best tennis pro in this area?" Hopefully they're talking about you, right? And then how do you really get that message out? So being able to really expand your network in that way is very important. that's how you'll get it out and do that quickly. So I'll pause right there for a second. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments? No? Okay. So we'll go more into the basics because I'm not sure if a few of you have seen this presentation before, because these are just really the basics of social media and things that you want to make sure that you are able to execute overall. I have presented this in the past, but I think we have some new people here. So, one of the things that you always want to make sure, if you're just freshly starting out your social media accounts, you want to make sure that you have to be consistent, right? In order to be taken seriously, you have to be consistent. That means with the name and the nomenclature overall, you want it to be the same on all platforms. So, if you look at my social media, it would be at Tracy Singian on all social platforms. So try to make sure that you can find a name that you can utilize on all the channels that you want to be on. SpaceX does a great job. At NASA Blueberry is actually Alyssa Carson. She's a student, an astrobiologist student, but that's not her name. But on every platform, we can find at NASA Blueberry, and it's Alyssa. So just something to keep in mind. And then of course, use your picture or logo in the bio to keep it really premium. And then, you always want to engage regularly. So I would also recommend that even if you don't plan on using that platform initially, try to reserve your name on all platforms. So one, somebody won't try to be you or pretend to be you. And then two, you have it in case you're ever wanting to engage on that particular platform. When you talk about your voice, right? What is your voice on social media? You can't be everything to everyone, right? You want to be able to have a strong message to people. So here are just 3 people I think that do a great job. And so think about what are those 3 words that you want people to think when they think of you is what they think of, right? It really resonates with them. It represents who you are as a person. Coco Gauff, when you look at her social, she really tries to show she's an individual. She's not like everyone else. She's trying to be different, And then also, she's really fun, right? She likes to have fun. She posts a lot with her brother and really shows that different part of her. And then she's really, really dedicated, right? She shows all the hard work of her working out and the things that she has to do both on and off the court. Darren Cahill, obviously he is an expert as a coach and shows the work that he's doing with the players that he has at that time. He's very funny, right? He's Australian. He shows some humor, a lot of sarcastic posts and things like that. And then from a personal standpoint, he likes to show that he's a sports fanatic and the things that he follows and really keeps up with all the different sports throughout the world, right? And Tennis House, Davor does a great job, of really making it educational, right? Really different. It's educational, but he's innovative. He does it in a different way. It's not the typical, instructional of just talking, different approach of how he's looking at it. And then he shows that he's connected, like within the community, right? He engages other pros, other USPTA pros for his videos. It's not just always him. So it shows, that he is an expert in the field. When we look at, this can sometimes be overwhelming, but when we look at overall channels, these are the things that you want to keep in mind for each of the channels. So simple baselines, right? Facebook on the wall, you can do more longer form. You try to do 1 to 2 posts per day. Try to limit 4 photos per post. So if you have an event, pick the 4 best photos, right? We don't need an album of 150 photos because no one's going to go through it. It's also a waste of time and just not really, it won't perform for you. Live is very event driven, right? The story really it's in real time, but really plan out those posts. It should be like, 4 to 5 posts within for one story, right? So just keep that in mind. On Twitter, it's in real time, right? It's real conversational, really news driven. You don't want to do more than three posts per day. Try to do more hero photos, no more than 30-second videos, because everything's more short form there. And then when you talk about, Instagram, reels are becoming more and more important. They're really prioritizing that in the algorithm. But on your wall, 3 to 4 posts per day. Instagram has required more posts per day in order to perform better. So they're really encouraging that activity. I know that's hard, but they're actually wanting more like 10 posts per day, but total. So the 3 or 4 posts on the wall per day, and then 6 to 8 story posts in real time should be able to get you there. And then with TikTok, 1 to 2 posts per day. You really want to make it fun, right? And I'm just going to dig into TikTok a little bit more because it is such a topic. It started as really like a dance craze and more of, the girl dad dances and just a fun platform. But you're seeing it really almost go toe to toe with YouTube in terms of being able to attract, educational portions, tips, and an informational network, right? It's going to pretty soon perform like YouTube does, in terms of like a search engine. But one of the things that you want to keep in mind is really, leverage the trends. Trends are still very popular on this platform, and I would encourage you to do it and do the duets. So that's the side to side. So if you saw a video that you like, don't be afraid to do the side to side and mimic it. This is one of the weirdest platforms that you can use the same song and the same video, the same dance, and do it over and over and still get a ton of views. So don't be afraid to repeat what works overall, and then just have a really distinct point of view on what you're doing and make sure that that message is very clear and the story that you're telling is very clear to everyone. And then don't be afraid to collaborate with others. I talked about this a little bit yesterday with, our crew in Southern, but, tennis, we can all really collaborate with one another more. And I would encourage you to collaborate with the other pros in your region, in your area, so that, you get, not only are you learning from one another, you're reaching a broader audience within your network. So LinkedIn has always sort of been something that I know from a USPTA perspective, everybody has asked me about. So I wanted to touch on that a bit. Professionally driven content is the only thing that should be on LinkedIn. You don't post about your dog here. You really want to keep it professional. You have to remember that you're speaking to your peers. You're speaking to the people that are potentially hiring you. When people search you, when your next job is looking at you, they are going to Google your name, and everything that you post is going to be there. And the first thing that most likely will pop up, if it's good, make sure you really have professional articles, people that have like-minded thoughts, share their articles, but you really want to talk about your vision, right, as a professional on this platform. And then when you talk about setting it up, if you look on the left here, the senior executive, this individual doesn't have their current title below their name. And this is something that everyone sort of needs to get better at, is put what you want to be known for and the industries you want to work in. Because just putting your title is not going to tell people who you are and what you're about. So for her, it's a senior executive. She's a strategic advisor. She's in sales and marketing, business development. And then the industry has been consumer goods. So when people are searching for that, she is going to pop up. So when you think about how you're going to, do it, for instance, for me, it says former tennis professional, right? And it says that I was a producer and then also a community volunteer, because the community work, the things I do within the community are important to me. So just try to keep that, people are looking for well-rounded individuals. So you do want to show those volunteers. When you talk about hashtags for LinkedIn, one of the things that when you think about your post, think about how it fits into these particular hashtags. Could you talk about personal development? Do you really think about the future of tennis, right? Do you have professional women within your club that, you can highlight? So try to think about these hashtags that are most searched so that you can continue to grow your following. Are there any questions there? Yes, no, maybe. What are y'all thinking? Is there any questions that you have about particular platforms before I move on? I would love to answer any questions you all have, more than just running through. No questions? You guys are all on top of it? Cool. That's awesome. So, we talked about TikTok and Instagram as being the ones that you want to have, and you want to be on. Marissa said, I don't have any questions. It's definitely fun to be listening to. Okay, cool. Glad you're enjoying it. Thank you, Marissa, for participating. But so when we talked about Instagram, we talked about LinkedIn, and we talked about TikTok, those are the ones that if you are trying to attract younger players, for TikTok and Instagram, where you want to be. And then from a professional standpoint, you definitely want to be on LinkedIn because it is good for, future jobs. But if you want to go above and beyond, these are some things to consider. YouTube, it's still the #2 search engine in the world. So if you are able to do videos and spend more time on it, so please consider it. Twitch, it's really been evolving from a gaming platform to also being more informational and being able to speak to people, personally. So I think that's also going to continue to grow. And then Facebook Messenger, I know it's part of the Facebook and Meta, but it's really considered its own platform. It's a great way for you to stay in touch with your lessons. It's a great way to just, stay in touch with people and clients. If it's raining or things like that, it's an easy way to engage. I just thought this was interesting because, we're seeing this sort of shift with society and everything happening right now, right? We had Uber, this peer-to-peer payment systems, whether you think about Square and Venmo, and we're all small businesses, right? We're all, most of us in tennis, are contractors. So, some people are fortunate to have clubs and salaries and things like that, but most of us are basically running our own small business. So some of the things that you can really consider, right, to assist you with payment are Venmo and Square and Stripe, right? Those are great ways for you to make it convenient. And that's what everyone is really pushing, right? Making it most convenient for our members, for our players and our clients. So, that's something I wanted to bring up. And then how is it evolving, because with cryptocurrency, the idea of, global currency continues to be a topic. So do you want to be the first person to accept cryptocurrency or Coinbase? Are there ways to, appeal to a younger generation and speak their talk? I'm not saying this is what you have to do, because I definitely don't know what's going to happen. We all don't know how it's going to happen, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, right? Because we don't really know how it's going to evolve, but we certainly don't want to be left behind. So these are just more thought starters and things to keep in mind. I think it's also because I'm maybe in the financial industry now, but it's definitely something that's on the radar. Most of my friends have not, they never have cash on them, and they just want to, pay via Venmo, and that's how we're dealing with it. You're also seeing in sport overall, and it is relevant to sport because you're seeing, right, crypto.com, what was the Staples Center and where the Lakers play, is now crypto.com, right? So how is that going to change how we interact in a day-to-day? During my time at the Pelicans the last couple of years, we actually did a limited edition NFT with Zion Williamson with Panini. And if you see this one's just an example actually of Jokic, and it's worth $17,000, right? So could you do an NFT instead of a trophy? Could that be something that you do for, a unique NFT for somebody, for kids that win a tournament because they have such interest in cryptocurrency and NFTs, right? They're very much the early adopters, and there is an interest in learning on that, right? Could we as tennis be, working within that space in sports as well. And then, AI and Oculus, metaverses have existed for a long time, whether it be Second Life, but the gap between in real life and digital is really merging. And there's these multiple companies right now are trying to create metaverses. Is this going to change the way that we even teach tennis, right? Is it going to be in this virtual space? Is it something that we need to consider as pros, because people are learning in different ways, right? 2 years ago, we would probably all just be together right now. And the way, everything's changing so fast, do we want to consider of even can you take a lesson on an Oculus, right? So those are just, do I know where it's going? No, but certainly want to give some thought to how we continue to evolve as the world does, right? And with tennis, we don't want it to be left behind. And this is just, an overview of where cryptocurrency is overall worldwide. It continues to grow. There's no surprises there. And then the early adopters, it's really, as I said, that 25 through 34, people are really engaging with it. So how is that going to affect how we do business overall, right? Just thought starters and something to think about. Well, appreciate you guys spending some time with me. Hopefully we can do this in person whether it be next year or soon. And then I look forward to seeing everyone at the World Conference. Thank you very much.